Chapter 1. The doorway opens in silence. There comes a moment, sometimes quietly, sometimes with a subtle ache, when the noise of the world no longer satisfies. You find yourself turning down the volume, not of your speakers or your surroundings, but of everything, the constant doing, the rushing, the needing. You sit still, not because you were told to, but because something deeper within has whispered, it's time. This is the beginning. This is the first breath of awakening. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't come in grand gestures. It often comes in stillness. A moment alone in the morning light. A walk where the wind speaks louder than your thoughts. A gaze into the mirror that feels like meeting yourself for the first time. The doorway opens in silence. Because awakening is not about adding something new to your life. It's about remembering what has always been there. It's not a destination, it's a return. A return to the you that existed before fear, before programming, before noise. You see, the world teaches you to search out there. Chase the answers, find your worth. Collect the symbols of success. But the soul waits patiently within. And when you finally pause long enough to hear it, just a whisper at first, your whole being begins to shift. Not in a way that others can always see, but in a way you can feel, deep in your belly, deep in your bones. It's a sacred knowing. There's something more, and I'm ready. The path of awakening is not linear. It is not clean or always gentle. It is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming you. And the moment you realize that, even without knowing where it will lead, you've already begun. Because awakening doesn't need a plan, it only needs your presence. Have you noticed how your desires are changing? How the things you once craved no longer hold the same power over you? How your heart longs more for peace than performance? That's not random. That's your soul awakening. You begin to crave connection, not attention. You begin to value truth over comfort. You begin to notice beauty in the smallest things, a bird on a wire, the warmth of your tea, the way your own breath feels coming home to you. This is how the doorway opens. Not with answers, but with questions. Not with certainty, but with curiosity. Who am I beneath all these layers? What do I truly believe? Why am I here really? And most importantly, am I willing to remember? Because you've never really been asleep. You were only distracted. And now you're beginning to see again. To feel again. To remember again. This chapter of your life is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about learning to befriend your breath. To listen without judgment. To walk with yourself through the fog. Trusting that light will follow. And it will. The light always follows the silence. Let this be your reminder not to rush. Not to chase, not to perform. But to return. To return to that sacred space within you that never left. The part of you that watches, the part of you that knows. The part of you that has always been whole. Even when you forgot. Even when you fell. Even when you doubted. You are not broken, you are breaking open. And every breath you take in awareness is a step home. The world may still pull you outward, but something deeper in you now knows the truth lives inward. The doorway has opened, and you, dear soul, have walked through it. Welcome home. Chapter 2. What does it truly mean to awaken? Awakening is not a grand explosion of light or a one-time moment of clarity. It is not reserved for mystics on mountaintops or monks in silent temples. It is something far more intimate, far more personal, something that can unfold quietly within your heart. In the midst of an ordinary life. To awaken means to remember who you truly are beneath the noise. Beyond the roles, beyond the identities you've worn for years. It means returning to the stillness that has always been within you. That deep, unmoving place that watches your thoughts without becoming them. That witnesses emotions rise and fall like waves, yet remains the vast ocean beneath. You are not the chaos. You are not the voice of fear or doubt. You are not the stories you've been told, nor the masks you've had to wear to survive. Awakening is realizing this truth, not just as an idea, but as a lived experience. It is the shift from thinking to being, from effort to allowing, from separation to connection. You begin to see the divine in all things, not just in sunsets or temples, but in the traffic, in the arguments, in the mundane routines of daily life. Everything becomes a mirror, reflecting back the truth of who you are. You begin to notice how often your mind wants to fix, to analyze, to control, and how much freedom there is in letting go. Not in abandoning life, but in engaging with it more fully, more presently, more honestly. Awakening doesn't mean escaping pain or becoming someone else. It means learning how to be with yourself, exactly as you are, without judgment, without resistance, without the need to be better. It's about seeing your wounds not as flaws, but as invitations. Each fear, each ache, each unanswered question becomes a portal, a chance to go deeper into truth. To awaken is to feel fully, to love without conditions, to breathe with awareness, to live as if each moment was sacred, because it is. It's not always comfortable. Sometimes, the path of awakening brings up what's been buried. It reveals the parts of you that are tender, raw, and unhealed. But that is the gift, for only what is seen can be transformed. Only what is felt can be released. And so you begin to walk differently. Not faster, not with more ambition, but with presence. Each step becomes intentional. Each word carries the weight of awareness. Each choice is made from love, not fear. You no longer seek your worth outside of yourself. You no longer chase after validation, approval, or success in the same way. You understand that true power comes from within, quiet, steady, unshakable. Awakening is not an arrival point. It is a continual unfolding, a returning, a softening into what has always been here. So if you find yourself asking, "Am I awakening?" know this: if you are asking, you already are. Chapter 3. Letting go of the old self. Awakening often begins with a shedding, not of your body, not of your mind, but of everything you thought you had to be. It is the gentle, sometimes painful unraveling of the identity you've carried for so long. The old self is not your enemy. It was born from love, from survival. from a desire to be safe in a world that felt uncertain. It helped you navigate, protect yourself, and find your place. But now it may feel tight, like a coat that no longer fits. And that's okay. To let go of the old self does not mean rejecting your past. It means honoring it while no longer letting it define you. The stories you've told yourself are not enough. I have to prove myself. I must be perfect to be loved. These are not truths. They were echoes of a time when you needed protection, when you were still learning who you were. But you don't have to carry them anymore. Awakening invites you to loosen your grip. Not by force, but through presence. By observing the old patterns when they arise. Not with judgment, but with curiosity. Ah, there's that old voice again, you might say. I see you. I understand why you're here. But I don't need you anymore. This is the work of transformation. Seeing clearly, choosing differently, again and again. You might feel resistance because the old self is familiar. It's like a well-worn path in a forest. You know where it leads. But the new path, the awakened path, is unpaved. It requires trust, not in others, but in your deeper knowing. In the still, quiet voice that says, there is more. Letting go can feel like loss. You may grieve the parts of you that once felt essential. You may mourn the version of you that once tried so hard. This is natural. This is sacred. Grief is not a step backward. It's an opening, a cleansing of the space where something new can be born. In the space of letting go, you may find silence. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of peace. A quiet that doesn't need to fill every moment. A stillness that doesn't need to be explained. You might also find fear. Who am I without my stories, without my roles, without my mask? And the answer might surprise you. You are light. You are presence. You are awareness itself. The letting go is not about becoming less. It's about revealing more of what has always been there. As you soften into this new way of being, you begin to notice subtle shifts. You breathe deeper. You respond instead of react. You speak from your heart instead of your fear. You begin to live in alignment with something greater. The old self may still visit from time to time. That's okay. You don't have to fight it. You can smile at it like an old friend passing through. But you no longer have to invite it in. You no longer have to make it your home. Letting go is an act of love. Not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Because when you release the need to be someone you're not, you give others permission to do the same. And in that freedom, something miraculous happens. You return to yourself. You remember who you are. And you begin to live, not from fear or habit, but from presence, truth, and love. Chapter 4. Remembering who you really are. There is a moment in every awakening where you pause and something clicks. Not because you've learned something new, but because you've remembered something ancient, something deep and true. You've spent years searching outside of yourself, looking for answers, for love, for a place to belong, trying to fit in, trying to succeed, trying to be enough. And yet, somewhere beneath all the effort was a quiet voice whispering, there is more, you are more. This chapter is not about becoming someone new. It's about peeling back the layers of conditioning, of fear, of expectation. To return to your essence. To remember what has always been true. You are not your name. You are not your job. You are not your past, your story, your wounds, or your achievements. You are awareness. You are presence. You are the one who sees, who feels, who witnesses. Who you really are is not separate from life. It is life. The breath that moves through you is the same breath that stirs the trees, that ripples through oceans, that awakens the stars. You are not in the universe. You are the universe expressing itself as you. When you remember this, something shifts. The world doesn't change, but your relationship to it does. You no longer chase validation, because you remember your worth. You no longer fear silence, because you found peace in stillness. You no longer resist life, because you trust its rhythm. And you trust yourself to move with it. This remembering is not always grand or dramatic. It might happen in the simplest moment. The way sunlight touches your skin. The sound of wind through leaves. The soft gaze of someone who sees you and expects nothing. It's in those moments that your soul whispers, I am home, I am whole, I am enough. But remembering also requires gentleness. The world has trained you to forget. It has told you who to be, what to want, how to behave. And each time you've tried to fit into that mold, a piece of your truth has gone quiet. So now you return, not with anger, but with compassion. You hold the younger version of you, the one who tried so hard. And you whisper, thank you, you did well, but now you can rest. You no longer need to perform. You no longer need to earn your place in the world. You already belong. You already are. To remember who you really are is not arrogance, it's clarity. It's the courage to live from your inner truth, even if it makes no sense to the world, even if others don't understand, even if your voice shakes when you speak it. Because your truth is sacred. It is your gift to the world. And when you live in alignment with that truth, you don't just awaken, you become a light for others. You inspire not through effort, but through embodiment. People feel something around you, not your words, but your presence. Your groundedness, your honesty, your peace. This is the power of remembering. It doesn't inflate the ego, it dissolves it. It doesn't create separation, it brings unity. Because when you know who you are, you also see who others are beneath their masks. You recognize their light, their struggle, their sacredness. You no longer need to judge. You no longer need to compare. You can simply be. And in that being, everything aligns. So breathe, dear soul. Breathe and return. Come back to the truth that was never lost, only hidden. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not lacking. You are life itself, awakening to its own beauty. Awakening is not a destination. It is not something you arrive at. Check off a list and move on. It is a living, breathing journey. A path that unfolds moment by moment, breath by breath. There is no finish line. There is only now, this sacred, fleeting, radiant now. And in this now, you are invited to open, again and again. Some days, awakening feels like clarity, like joy, like floating. Other days, it feels like unraveling, like confusion, like breaking apart. Both are sacred. Both are needed. Because to awaken is to feel. To no longer numb yourself from the richness of your own being. To say yes to the full range of your experience, not just the light, but the shadow too. You are not here to bypass your pain. You are here to meet it with presence. To sit with your wounds without needing to fix them. To listen to the stories your heart has held for so long. To hold space for the parts of you that have never felt safe enough to speak. This is the real work of awakening. Not escaping, but integrating. Not transcending, but embodying. And it takes courage, because to be fully awake is to be fully alive. To let yourself love deeply and grieve fully. To laugh from your belly and cry from your soul. To speak truth even when your voice trembles. This is not the easy path, but it is the real one, and it is calling you. When you say yes to this path, you become your own guide. You stop outsourcing your authority. You begin to trust your inner compass, your intuition, your knowing, your truth. The world may offer you 1,000 opinions, 1,000 rules, 1,000 distractions. But you learn to pause. You learn to ask, what feels true for me? What aligns with my soul, my body, my heart? This is radical. To listen inwardly when the world shouts outwardly. To honor your rhythm when others demand urgency. To rest when you need to. To say no when something doesn't resonate. To say yes to what nourishes you deeply, even if it makes no logical sense. Awakening is also humbling. There are days you'll feel like you've figured it all out, only to be reminded that there's always more to unlearn. More to soften, more to discover. That's the beauty. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be present. And in presence, you find grace. Grace in your stumbles. Grace in your breakthroughs. Grace in the in-between. As you walk this path, you'll begin to see others differently. Not as enemies, not as competition, but as reflections. Each soul on their own journey, doing the best they can with what they know. You may begin to forgive, not to condone what hurt you, but to set yourself free from the weight of carrying it. You may begin to love without needing to possess, to give without needing to be owed, to trust without needing guarantees. This is the path of awakening. Not sterile, not linear, not always beautiful, but honest, real, alive. You walk it not to escape this world, but to walk more gently within it. To bring light where there was judgment. To bring peace where there was tension. To bring yourself home over and over again. So if today feels heavy, if you're doubting your progress, if you're wondering whether you're doing it right, pause, breathe. Remember, awakening is not about getting somewhere. It's about being fully here, right now, with all that you are. You are already on the path, and the path is within you. Chapter 6, letting go of who you thought you had to be. You were never meant to carry the weight of everyone's expectations. Not your family's version of success. Not society's definition of worth. Not your past self's imagined future. You were born free, soft, whole, wide open. And somewhere along the way, you were taught to trade that freedom for safety. To fit in, to be good, to perform, to please. But awakening calls you back to your essence, not the version of you that learned to survive, but the one that came here to thrive. This chapter is about letting go, not just of habits or patterns, but of identities that no longer serve you. The achiever, the fixer, the invisible one, the always strong one. You don't need to be who the world told you to be. You are not here to live someone else's dream. You are not here to earn your worth. You already are worthy. In this moment, as you are, letting go is not failure. It is space making. It is remembering that your value was never in what you do, but in who you are. This is the grief of awakening. Grieving the roles you've outgrown. Grieving the masks that once kept you safe. Grieving the comfort of the familiar. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel empty before the new begins to take form. This in-between is sacred. You are being rewritten. You may notice that you no longer resonate with certain conversations, that you crave solitude, that your body says no more often, even when your mind still wants to say yes. Listen, you are not becoming selfish. You are becoming honest. You are learning to honor what's real within you, rather than betraying yourself to be liked. And slowly, something begins to shift. You stop shrinking. You stop pretending. You stop apologizing for your existence. You begin to walk taller, to speak slower, to breathe deeper. You begin to say, "This is who I am," not to convince anyone, but because you finally believe it. And the people who are meant for you, the ones who see your light even when you forget it, they will find you here. Not when you're perfect, but when you're true. This is the unfolding of authenticity. The return to your center. The quiet knowing that you don't need to perform to be loved. You don't need to achieve to be enough. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. Letting go doesn't mean you reject your past. It means you honor how far you've come and choose not to be defined by it. It means giving yourself permission to evolve, to soften, to begin again. So breathe deeply, beloved soul. Let the old fall away. Let your truth rise to the surface. You are not who you were. You are not who they wanted you to be. You are who you choose to become. Moment by moment, choice by choice, breath by breath. You are ready, not because you figured it all out, but because you're finally willing to be real. Welcome home. Chapter 7, Trusting the Path You Cannot Yet See. There will be moments on your journey when nothing makes sense. The path ahead is unclear, the ground beneath feels shaky, and the voice within you whispers, "I don't know how to move forward." But what if this not knowing is not a problem to fix, but a sacred invitation? What if the fog you feel is not confusion, but the soft veil of transformation? You are not lost. You are being realigned. Sometimes, when we outgrow an old version of ourselves, the next version doesn't arrive immediately. There's a pause, a sacred in-between. In this space, the mind scrambles for answers. It wants a plan, a guarantee, a destination. But the soul doesn't need a map. It needs your trust. This chapter is a deep exhale into the unknown. A surrender of control. A remembering that even when you cannot see the way forward, Life is still guiding you. You are still being held. You are still on time. The oak tree doesn't rush to bloom. The stars don't panic when clouds cover their light. The ocean does not question the tide. And you, dear one, are part of this same wisdom. There is a timing to your unfolding that your ego may never understand, but your soul already knows. So take the pressure off. You don't have to have it all figured out. Let go of the belief that clarity must come instantly. Sometimes clarity arrives quietly, after seasons of stillness. Sometimes it comes not as lightning, but as a gentle sunrise. Your job is not to force the light. Your job is to keep walking in the dark, with open hands and a faithful heart. To move gently, to trust that every step, even the silent ones, is building the bridge to where you're meant to go. If you listen closely, you'll feel it, the subtle pull of something greater guiding you forward. You are not walking alone. The universe, source, spirit, whatever name feels true to you, is not indifferent to your journey. It sees your heart. It feels your longing. And it responds not always with speed, but always with love. So pause here, breathe into this space, and let yourself soften into the mystery. You don't need to rush to the next chapter. You only need to be where you are. Awake, open, and willing to trust. Everything is unfolding in divine order. Even this, especially this, you are safe to not know. You are safe to trust. And soon you will look back on this time and realize that even when you couldn't see the path, your soul was walking it all along. Chapter 8, Releasing the Fear of Being Too Much. There is a quiet fear that many of us carry. The fear that we are too much, too sensitive, too emotional, too intense, too different. You may have learned to shrink your light, to silence your truth, to hide the depth of your heart, just to be accepted. But let this be the chapter where we release that story. You were never too much. You were simply surrounded by people who couldn't hold your bigness. Your sensitivity is not a flaw, it's a superpower. Your emotions are not a weakness, they are sacred messengers. Your truth is not too loud, it's the voice the world needs. You were not meant to live in half-light. You were meant to burn bright. When you dim your light to fit into someone else's comfort, you betray the very essence of who you are. And you were never meant to betray yourself. The fear of being too much is really the fear of being fully seen, of standing in your rawness, your truth, your power, without apology. But here is the truth that will set you free. The world does not need a watered-down version of you. It needs your whole self. It needs the unfiltered beauty of your spirit. You are not here to please everyone. You are here to live fully. And in doing so, you will find those who see you, who celebrate you, who are nourished by your light rather than intimidated by it. This chapter is an invitation to return to yourself, to reclaim your power, to let your light be as big as it wants to be. Let the tears fall. Let the laughter rise. Let your truth echo through your life like a song you were born to sing. You do not need permission. You already belong. So if you've been holding back, this is your moment to expand, to step into the fullness of your being, to take up space, to be as wild, as wise, as wonderful. as you truly are. No more hiding. No more shrinking. This is your birthright. To live wide open. To be felt. To be free. You are not too much. You are just enough. Exactly as you are. Let the fear fall away. And let your soul rise. Chapter 9. The stillness that holds you. In the quiet spaces of life, beneath the noise of daily tasks and responsibilities, there is a stillness. It is not empty. It is full. It holds you always. This stillness is not something you earn. It is not a reward for doing things right. It is not a prize for being spiritual enough. It is simply there, waiting for you to remember it. Like the ocean beneath the waves, like the sky behind the storm. It does not disappear when you forget. It simply waits, calm, steady, unshaken. In this stillness, there is no judgment. There is no pressure to perform. No need to prove your worth. Only the gentle invitation to be. To breathe. To return. Sometimes we fear stillness because it reveals what we've been avoiding. But the truth is, stillness does not expose you to pain. It exposes you to truth. And in truth, there is healing. In stillness, you meet yourself. Not the self that the world demands. Not the mask you've learned to wear. But the self that you were before the world taught you to shrink. In stillness, your heart speaks softly. I'm still here. I've always been here. You're not lost. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing everything from a place of presence. It means letting go of the rush and tuning into the rhythm of your soul. This chapter invites you to stop chasing. Stop running from silence, and instead step into it. Let it wrap around you. Let it whisper wisdom into your bones. Let it hold all of you, even the parts you think are unworthy. Because in stillness, you remember, you are already held, already enough, already whole. No fixing required, no effort necessary. Just presence, just breath, just now. Let the stillness hold you, and let it remind you that you have always belonged to something deeper, something eternal, the one who has felt the stirrings of something deeper, the one who has walked through fire, through silence, through longing, the one who is ready, not perfect, not finished, but ready, ready to release the stories that no longer serve, ready to let go of identities that were never yours, ready to remember who you truly are beneath the noise. This is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to truth, to soul, to you. You don't need another lesson, another sign, another reason. You already feel it. That quiet yes inside your chest. The subtle pulse of more behind your breath. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are ripe. And now, your life is inviting you to respond, to answer the call of your own becoming. Not through striving, but through surrender. Let go of the idea that awakening is dramatic, that it must come with lightning or thunder. Sometimes it arrives on a whisper, a gentle shift, a breath that finally feels true. Your awakening is not something to chase. It is something to allow. You awaken each time you choose compassion over fear. Each time you pause instead of react. Each time you speak from your heart, not your wounds. It is already happening. And the moment you stop trying to force it, you notice the light was always here. The path was never lost. You were always walking it. This is your invitation. To live awake. To love awake. To create awake. Not someday. Not when it's safe. Now, because the truth is, you were never meant to sleep through your life. You were born to shine in it. To touch others through your presence. To leave gentle footprints on the earth. To remind the world that the sacred is here. You are ready. More than ready. So rise not in effort, but in remembrance. You are not becoming the light. You are the light. Let yourself be seen. Let yourself be loved. Let yourself be awake.